Hallelujah. So, if I wasn't nervous before, now I am. But that's okay. I'm here to speak the word that Yahweh gave to me for the congregation. I'm thankful for this opportunity for Yahweh to use me to be able to speak to everyone else. I have been really enjoying my feasts and hearing what Yahweh is saying to me. I was the person that Beth was talking about when she said someone was nervous that everybody was going to talk about the same thing. That was me, because I'm last, and I was like, everybody's going to talk what my message is, and I still got, parts of my message, so I think I'm good. So, initially when I was thinking of what I wanted Yahweh to give me to give to the people, I was looking at the little verse that was given to us, and I was trying to see what in the verse Yahweh wanted me to get out of it. And when I finally got my topic, I thought to myself, well, this is basic. This is something that all saints should know and all saints should be doing. But as I started working on my message and going into it, I realized how deep the topic actually is. And the title of my message is Following from a Distance. So, we all see the signs right in front of us in red or maybe even yellow letters. It's right there, right in front of our windshield, and it says, stay back 200 feet. Some of them say 100, some of them say 150, but all the signs are saying to stay back for your own safety. The insinuation is that if you tailgate or follow at any closer distance, you're putting yourself in a dangerous position. And for the health of your car and your body, it is safer if you hang back and keep your distance. We've all seen them. We've all ignored them. Or maybe I just ignored them. We are instructed to keep at a distance to avoid danger, and still we get as close as we can to the cars that have this on the back. And then, in this instance, when we are told that if we're too close, we will suffer the consequences, we still remain 6 inches off the bumper. Or is that still just me? Ironically, though, when we're dealing with Yahweh, we're told that there is danger in staying too far away. But for whatever reason, we as believers refuse to get any closer to Yahweh. And at the same time, we fail to recognize the danger in distance. Why is it that the one thing that benefits us to get closer to, we stay distant from to our own detriment? We get close to a lot of other things, to people, to goals, to things, to success. All this stuff we are constantly trying to get closer to. But when it comes to Yahweh and his things, we choose to keep him at arm's length. Why is that? The one thing that is everything we need and everything that we should be close to, we keep at a distance. And Yahweh, he is everything that we need. But for whatever reason, we choose not to draw closer to him. My basis is, of course, Hebrews 11:6, but without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So I chose to focus on the part of the verse that says, for he that cometh must believe that he is. For he that cometh. We must come to Yahweh for him to be what he needs to be for us. He is everything, but we have to come to him to get those things that he is. It's like parents with your children. I literally just went through this morning. Nico was struggling to put his shoes on. He got them on the wrong feet. He's sighing, he's huffing, he's puffing, but he's not coming to me. He's not asking me for help. He's sitting right there, right in front of the answer that he needs, trying to get his shoes tied, but he did not come, and he refused to ask for help. We are the same way with Yahweh. Yahweh has all the answers we need, all the things that we need, and he's sitting right there, and we are like Nico, steady trying, frustrated, huffing and puffing and throwing shoes and all types of stuff, when the answer to everything we need is right there. We just have to come to Yahweh. Yahweh has done more than his fair share of drawing close to us. So really what I'm talking about today is drawing near to Yahweh. So we shouldn't be following at a distance, but drawing near. So the only way for us to keep from following at a distance is to draw near unto Yahweh. And a lot of people think that this is a basic concept, like I said, but it's really, really deep. And a lot of people, when they think about drawing near, they think about Yahweh drawing near. But really, like I said, Yahweh's done his fair share. He's there for us. We have to draw near. We are the ones that have to close that gap of distance to go closer to Yahweh. We have to draw near. So when I think of drawing near, initially I thought of like relationships, and not even like boyfriend, girlfriend, like even friendships. When you first start, getting to know people, you play like stupid games like 21 questions. You ask each other, what's your favorite color? Oh, what's your favorite number? What do you like to do? You're yearning to learn more and more about this person or this thing, whatever it is that you choose to draw near to. You have a desire to want to do it. You do whatever you can to get to know more. So why aren't we the same way with Yahweh? When it comes to Yahweh, we think that we can only go so deep, and we think that we've arrived, and we stop trying to draw near to him, like there's a limit to how close you can get to Yahweh. But when it comes to other things, we keep pursuing it and keep going after it and keep doing whatever we can do to learn more about it. But for whatever reason, we are not the same with the one who is everything. When I broke it down to define drawing near, I defined it as it is a directing of your heart to enter into a deeper relationship or presence with Yahweh. It's more than just doing, it's a commanding of your heart and your being to want to go deeper. A lot of us, when we get bored or tired in relationships or things that we do, we kind of just stop dealing with it. We can't be that way of Yahweh. That's why I think that it's a directing of your heart. Because you will have days where you feel like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go deeper. I don't want to read my Bible. I don't want to pray. I don't want to go to church. You have to direct your heart to want to go deeper for Yahweh. And when I first looked at this, I thought, it might just be a little basic, but it's also for more seasoned saints, because if you have that right relationship with Yahweh, you can always go deeper in Yahweh's presence. That's why I put deeper into relationship or presence with Yahweh. We have to draw near to him, and we have to do it by commanding ourselves, by wanting to draw near to Yahweh. When we talk about drawing near to Yahweh, there are a lot of different ways for us to go about doing so. Of course, the most obvious way and the most efficient way is prayer. It is one of our main communication lines to Yahweh. If anybody has seen the prayer mosaics that my mom put down at the banquet, I know like a lot of people stopped and looked at it, did some of them. That is a good thing. A lot of us are suffering in our prayer lives, saying the same prayers over and over, or doing it with no emotion, not really seeking to get anything from Yahweh, but just kind of speaking and not believing that he is what we are asking him to be. If you suffer in your prayer life, I definitely suggest the prayer mosaics, because they are helpful. They help give you things to pray about. They help you see things that are in need, like stuff in the world that you need to pray about. It helps you to approach Yahweh in different ways. I feel like not everyone, but most people look at praying as, head down, eyes closed, and praying. It doesn't always have to be like that. It can be as simple as speaking something in your mind to Yahweh throughout your day, thanking him for something, letting him know that you appreciate him. When we have our problems and our struggles and things, we have to take them to Yahweh in prayer. Jeremiah 29:13 says, "And ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all of your heart." Seek me with all of your heart. Earnest and deep prayer helps us to draw nearer to Yahweh, but it has to be earnest and it has to be deep. You can't just be saying words and thinking that things are going to happen for you when you're not willing to draw near to Yahweh, when you're just speaking just to speak and not believing the things that you are speaking out loud. We have to go after Yahweh the same way that he came after us constantly. And when I think of that, it reminds me of Leo's song where he says, "He came after me, now I'm after you." Like I said, Yahweh has done his part, and now it is time for us to close that gap of distance and draw near to Yahweh. He's there waiting for us. We have to draw near to him. Draw near to him. It is through prayer that we approach things with Yahweh. And it can just, like I said, it can just be speaking. It can be on your knees. It can be singing a song. It can be any way that you feel the most comfortable, taking all of your concerns and your worries and your frets to Yahweh and believing that he is what you are asking him to be. We have to draw near to Yahweh. Another way that we draw near to Yahweh is by keeping his commandments. It is pleasing to him for us to keep his commandments. And just like with any other relationship, we want to please people. So it makes Yahweh happy when we keep his commandments. Us keeping his commandments shows that we love him, that we have an appreciation for him, that we're listening to what he says and what he's telling us to do. We have to follow his commandments. We do not want to be like the people that Isaiah speaks of. In Isaiah 29:13, he says, "These people come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." Is that you? At a time, that was me. Just saying what I thought I should say, doing what I thought I should do because it sounded right, because it looked right, or maybe because I didn't want to get disfellowshipped, or maybe because I didn't want to get lectured for 3 hours by a pastor. But for whatever the reason was, it was not the right reason. Honoring Yahweh with your mouth and your lips, but not in your actions, is not truly drawing near to him. We have to, in our deeds and in our words, draw near to Yahweh. You can say it and say it and say it over again, but do you really get it? Do you really believe what you're saying? Do you really believe how you're living? A lot of us follow the commandments, but do you do because you love Yahweh or because you're forced? Are you trying to draw nearer to him, or are you just trying to look good, or are you trying to stay out of trouble? We have to be willing to believe in the things that Yahweh gives us and the things that we follow for us to draw near to him. Another way that we can draw near to Yahweh is, of course, through Yahshua. Yahshua's death had a purpose, and this is the purpose. He is our intercessor. So through Yahshua, we can take all of our cares and our burdens and our needs and take them to Yahweh because he's interceding for us. Also, not even just his death, but his life is an encouragement of how we should draw closer to Yahweh. Because Yahshua was man, just like us. He had flesh. He was tempted, he had emotions, he had feelings, he cried, he bled just like us, but he was perfect. We have a perfect middleman. It's better than just any middleman because he's the perfect middleman, and he's there interceding for us. And if Yahshua can do it, we also can do it. So his life is an encouragement of how we should draw near to Yahweh. I'm sure that Yahshua didn't want to go on the cross for the sins of all of us, but he did it to draw closer to Yahweh, and so that we can draw closer to Yahweh as well. Hebrews 7:25 says, "Wherefore he is able to also save them to the uttermost that come unto Yahweh by him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them." Again, we see that come. We must come to Yahweh. We have to draw near to Yahweh for it all to work, for him to save us, for him to be what he is. We have to draw near to Yahweh. Yahshua is more than capable of saving and helping us, but we have to come to him. Do you see Yahshua making intercession for you? Do you see him fighting for you? Do you see him pleading on your behalf? Do you see him crying out for you to draw nearer to Yahweh? What are we afraid of? What are we waiting for to draw near to Yahweh? Another reason, sorry, I found the cartoon funny. Another reason why we should draw near to Yahweh is because he's all-knowing. He already knows what we're going through. He knows what we need, when we need it. Before we even part our lips to ask for it, he knows what we need, but we have to come to him. Matthew 6 says, "But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them. For your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before you ask him. This should make it all the much easier for us to draw near to Yahweh. He already knows what you're thinking. He already knows what you need. He already knows what you've been doing. Some people try to say, well, I'm embarrassed. I feel like I'm not worthy enough to come before Yahweh. I shouldn't draw near to Yahweh because I'm not the right person, or I'm too sinful, or you don't know what I've been going through, what I've been doing, what I've been thinking. Yahweh already knows all of that, and he still wants you to draw nearer to him. We have to draw near to Yahweh, especially when he gave us so many different ways to draw near to him. Why be embarrassed or afraid or worried or whatever it is that's causing you to not draw near to Yahweh when he already knows? It just makes no sense at all, but yet we are a people that oftentimes do not make sense. These many ways can help you draw near and closer to Yahweh, but the main reason why it is good for us to draw nearer to Yahweh is because Yahweh will draw nearer to us. When we draw near to Yahweh, he draws nearer to us. Someone put it like this. One second. The Eternal One, caught in a moment of time, the Omnipresence corralled in a cave manger, the Omnipotent cradled in a helpless infant who could not even raise his head from the straw, the Omniscient confined in a baby who would not say a word, the Christ who created the heavens and the earth cradled in a manger in a cave stable. For when Yahweh would draw near to a cold, cruel, sinful, suffering humanity, he placed a baby in a manger in Bethlehem. Y'all don't sound excited enough, so I'm going to read it again for y'all and put it in perspective. The Eternal One, caught in one moment. The Omnipresent, meaning all present, corralled in a cave manger. The Omnipotent, all-powerful One, cradled in a helpless infant who could not even raise his head to defend himself. The Omniscient, all-knowing One, confined in a baby who would not say a word. Yahshua, who created the heavens and the earth, cradled in a manger in a cave stable, so that Yahweh would draw near to us, a cold, cruel, sinful, suffering humanity. He placed Yahshua in a manger in Bethlehem. Like I said, Yahshua did his fair share to draw near to us. He is just waiting for us to draw near to him. He drew near to us by making himself lower than what we can even think of. He put himself into a child. He made himself helpless. He made himself vulnerable. We have to do the same thing when we talk about drawing near to Yahweh. We have to be vulnerable with him. And I know that at times that can be hard, but with Yahweh, you can do anything, and he is everything you need. So be vulnerable with him. Draw near to him because it will only benefit you. By utilizing the techniques mentioned beforehand, we can draw closer to Yahweh as he draws closer to us. He has done his part. Will you do yours? What are you afraid of? Again, I'm asking, what are we waiting for? Jeremiah 31:34 says, "And no longer shall each one teach his neighbor and each his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest, declares Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more." In one way or another, we're all going to come to know Yahshua. We know that in the end times it says, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. But on what side of that do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side that's praising him, knowing him, that you knew you were drawing near to him? Or do you want to be on the side that stopped seeking after him? And you kind of know him, but you don't know him to his fullness. You don't know all that he is. And in knowing him, you will have your sin forever forgotten. We've all had situations with people where they did something to hurt us, and even though we forgive them, the relationship is not quite the same. But Yahweh is not like that. Your sin is forever forgotten, and your relationship is the same. And when you draw nearer to Yahweh, that is a reward that you get from that. As we draw closer to Yahweh, our sins begin to be the distant thing in the past. So instead of that distance from us to Yahweh, it's us and Yahweh, and the distance is between the sin instead of the Savior. The closer that we get to Yahweh, the farther we get away from the world, which is our goal. We have to continuously be drawing near to Yahweh. The Bible says to know Yah is to love him. We have to draw near to him so that we can love him. Drawing closer to Yahweh requires truly loving him. Psalm 73, 27 through 28 says, "For indeed, those who are far from you shall perish. You have destroyed all those who desert you for harlotry. But it is good for me to draw near to Yahweh. I have put my trust in Yahweh Elohim, that I may declare all of your works." When you choose to stay distant from Yahweh, your end result only leads to bad things. There is benefit in drawing near to Yahweh. And because we already have relationship with Yahweh, it makes no sense to not draw near to Yahweh. Drawing near to Yahweh requires you to trust him. You have to put your trust in Yahweh to draw near to him. Drawing near to him means believing and trusting that he is what you need him to be, that he's going to give you what you're putting your trust in him to give you for. But why can't we trust Yahweh? We can trust man and things that people say. A lot of people trust the things they see on the news. But Yahweh, who is everything, we have a hard time trusting. Yahweh, who created everything, we have a hard time leaning on and putting our trust in. Why is that? There is a sobering truth that Yahshua's work on Calvary, if we do not draw near to Yahweh, would have all been for nothing. And since we have relationship with Yahweh and we're not drawing near, what is the point? You know of Yahweh, you know what he can be, you know what he does, and you know how powerful he is. The scripture says in Hebrews 10:29, "Of how much sore punishment, suppose ye, shall he be thought worthy, who have trodden underfoot the Son of Yahweh, and hath counted the blood of the covenant, wherewith he was sanctified, an unholy thing, and have done despite unto the Spirit of grace." If we choose not to draw near to Yahweh, knowing all we know as the saints of Yahweh, our punishment in hell will be greater. We have to draw near to Yahweh, because another part of drawing near to Yahweh is appreciating his grace, his amazing grace. I know we hear it all the time. I feel like people hear grace and they don't take it for what it is, his grace. It is through his grace that we are even able to draw near to Yahweh. His grace is what saves us. Through his grace, we are able to approach Yahweh, have a relationship with him, and be with him. But for whatever reason, we choose distance over grace. It makes no sense. We are the ones that are in control of the distance, which puts us in control of the damage. There is a quote that says, "He who manages the distance manages the damage." Because Yahweh has done his part and he is waiting for us, we are the ones in control of how much damage we are doing to our relationship with Yahweh. We are the ones controlling the distance that we have between Yahweh. We have to draw near to Yahweh. When we have problems and frustrations and life is happening all around, all we need to do is draw near to Yahweh, because he is. In Hebrews 4:16, it says, "Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy," so that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. Thank you, Brother Bob. Yahshua is all that we need, but we must come to him. Again, we see this again. "Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help us in the time of need." We have to be bold when drawing near to Yahweh. We can't do it halfway. We can't do it timidly. We have to boldly come before Yahweh, draw near to him, give all of ourselves to him so that he can draw nearer to us. He is everything that we could possibly need. So why not, again I ask, why not draw nearer to Yahweh? What do you need him to be for you? Because he is everything. He is a healer. He is a protector. He is your friend. He is your hope. He is your teacher. He is your comforter. He is anything you need him to be, whatever it is that you're seeking. Why aren't you seeking it in Yahweh? Because he is. He is everything. So why are we looking out in the world? Why are we looking in ourselves to try to fix things, to try to handle things, to try to make ourselves whole? Yahweh is everything. He is everything, and he is all. The reason why we must draw near to Yahweh is because he inhabits everything we need as his children. There is nothing our God cannot do or be for you. What do you need him to be? And the best part of this list is that this is only some of the stuff that he can be for you. He can be an infinite amount of things for you, but you have to go to him. You have to draw near to Yahweh. The more you draw near to Yahweh, the more he is for you. We cannot settle. There is a huge difference between settling in a relationship with Yahweh and choosing to truly draw near to him. The quote says, "Settling for crumbs doesn't keep you fed. It keeps you starving." Are you settling for crumbs in your relationship with Yahweh? Are you just making it by? Are you just doing enough to stay comfortable but not going deeper in what you need to do? Are you stuck on crumbs instead of being full on all that Yahweh is? We cannot settle for a Christian life distant from Yahweh, doing what we know we're supposed to do but not really drawing into Yahweh, saying what we know we're supposed to say but not believing that Yahweh is going to come through on these things that we are saying. Do you have a hunger for Yahweh, or are you always content with where you're at? Do you think, I actually like where I'm at with Yah. I think I'm going to stay here for a while. I don't really want to step out of my comfort zone too far. I don't really want to read the Bible too much or get bored with it or anything like that. I think I'm going to stay here. We cannot stay where we are. None of us. Nobody can. You can always draw near to Yahweh. No matter how seasoned you are in your relationship, there is always higher that you can go in Yahweh. Drawing near is not a single act. It is a continuous and habitual walk. A lot of people think that drawing near is just a one-time thing, and it's not. It's a continuous thing. Drawing near is a lifetime thing. So let's talk about Moses. Moses was constantly drawing near to Yahweh. From the moment he left Egypt, he was drawing near to Yahweh. He had one of the most amazing experiences with Yahweh at the burning bush, but that wasn't good enough for him. He kept drawing near to Yahweh, and eventually he had the experience on Mount Sinai. Moses saw Yahweh face to face. What an amazing experience that must have been, to see Yahweh face to face. But I don't think Moses thought, I must have arrived. I must have to stop my relationship with Yahweh because I've seen him face to face. That's all there is. No, Moses kept drawing near to Yahweh, even after his encounter on Mount Sinai. Something that's such a great experience none of us have ever experienced. Have you had a Mount Sinai experience and decided that that's enough for you? That that's all you want from Yahweh? When we go through these experiences and have these great things happen to us with Yahweh, we can't settle and think, that's enough for me. I like that. That's good enough. Because there is more. He is more than that. He is anything more than you can ever imagine. If you have an experience, go for another experience and another experience and another experience. There's an endless amount of experiences that we can have with Yahweh. Distance can only negatively affect our relationship with Yahweh. Let's think about the children of Israel. The children of Israel encountered a lot of different experiences with Yahweh, a lot of good experiences with Yahweh. But for whatever reason, they chose to stop drawing near to Yahweh. The children of Israel witnessed Yahweh freeing them from the bondage of Egypt. Then to Yahweh guiding them by a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. They watched as the Red Sea parted and Yahweh protected them through the path and smashed their enemies down into the water. They were also there when Moses struck the rock and where they were able to get water. They were also there when Moses, Aaron, and Miriam held up the rod so that they can be victorious. Yahweh was their redeemer. Yahweh was their guider. Yahweh was their protector. Yahweh was their provider. And Yahweh was their warrior. And still, for whatever reason, they chose to stop drawing near to Yahweh. And we know what happens with the children of Israel. What Yahweh did was apparently not good enough for them. They started to murmur and complain, and that caused distance between them and Yahweh. They ended up having to wander around the desert for 40 more years because they weren't willing to draw near to Yahweh, to keep going and keep going and keep going. They were happy with the little bit of experiences that they got with Yahweh. When you let distance come between you and Yahweh, he no longer is what you need him to be for you. He no longer is what you need him to be for you when you choose to stop drawing near to him. And when we talk about drawing near to Yahweh, it's not measured by a metric meter. Distance is not measured in miles. It is measured in your experiences with Yahweh. Like I said, you can have a bunch of amazing experiences like Moses, but we should still want to draw near to Yahweh because there's no limit on how close we can get to Yahweh. The Israelites suffered greatly for drifting away from Yahweh. Do we want to be the same? Drawing near to Yahweh requires a lot of experiences with Yahweh. We need to be like Moses and keep wanting to go deeper no matter what we encounter with Yahweh. If Yahweh blesses you, draw near for a bigger blessing. If Yahweh gives you a word, open your ears for a better word. We have to keep drawing near to Yahweh. Hebrews 10:22 talks about the forever race. It says, "Let us draw near with a true heart in full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised." Drawing near to Yahweh requires us to hold on to the faith. We have to hold on to the faith. When we are constantly drawing near to Yahweh, it makes it easier for us to hold on to that profession of faith. Because like I said, the closer we get to Yahweh, the farther away from the world that we get. And with the end times drawing near, it is so important for us to hold on to our faith. And the only way that we are going to be able to do that and we are going to be able to stand is if we draw near to Yahweh. There's a song, I'm not sure how many of you know it. It's by Brian McKnight, and it's called Back at One. And it's this guy describing how, what he'd do to get this girl and keep this girl. But at the end of the song, he says, "And if ever I believe my work is done, I will start back at one." We have to be just like that when it comes to Yahweh. If you think, okay, I've read through the Bible, read through it again. Yahweh will give you something new out of it. If you think I'm tired of hearing that song, listen to the words more closely. Yahweh will reveal something to you. If you think I've prayed this prayer again, pray it more earnestly, pray it more deeply, do it in love, do it in trust, do it in faith. We have to draw nearer to Yahweh. We have to. And there's never a limit on how close we can draw near to Yahweh. So if you think you've arrived, you have not. We have to draw near to Yahweh. We must remember, too much distance from the one who knows the way will result in you drifting off course. Yahweh is the way, the truth, and the life. We have to come to him. We have to draw near to him to stay on the path. If we're not drawing near to him, we are going to drift off in the distance, and the distance only leads to our demise. When we let distance come in between us, we are going farther and farther away from Yahweh. Not drawing near to Yahweh is only putting a bigger gap in between you. It's you following Yahweh at a distance. Following Yahweh at a distance does not work. We have to draw near to Yahweh. I want to end my sermon with a story of a woman. So the woman speaks. She says, "She is just a doll, fair, pretty, with a smile that could steal anyone's heart. Her name is Dee. 4 years old, the daughter of a couple who picks up garbage from residential quarters. She was untamed, dirty, extremely rebellious, and arrived at our angel home like a dirty puppy. She refused to speak with me for nearly a month, and slowly Yahweh broke the ice. As soon as she would come, I would do her hair, tie it up in ponytails, wash her, powder her, and she would sit on my lap and feel thrilled with all the love that was lavished on her. Rain or shine, she would promptly come to our home early in the morning before 7 a.m., standing at the gate with a twinkle in her eye and coyly smiling like a rose. All she wants is to be by me and to pop up on my lap, and that was enough for her. Many of the kids at our home are close to me, so I look at this love and I took it for granted. Until recently, I knew the depth of Dee's love for me. When I found her harshly hitting another girl, I corrected her, and I gave her a slight thrashing. And again the next day, I found her behaving rudely, and yet again she received some blows from me. In the evening, when the kids were about to leave, I found Dee looking at me, trying to make eye contact with me. At that moment I looked at her, she ran like wind and hugged me, and I was shocked. There was no sign of anger at all. I whispered in her ears not to behave rudely again, and she nodded obediently. And the next morning I found her again standing by that gate at 7 a.m. with the same smile like fresh air. The same smile, the same twinkle in her eye, and all the love was written all over her face, and not one of it had been diminished after I had scolded her. Locked up in my prayer room, I sobbed at his feet. I thought of how Dee had love for me, and I asked Yahweh if I can love him that much in that way. Whether there's a crowd in church or if there is one pew filled, whether there is raving reviews of my ministry or whether they are bad, whether people throw stones or throw flowers, whatever it is, I want my love for Yahweh to keep intensifying and rising no matter what. Without any why, Lord, I just want, how much more can I love you, Lord, to fill my life? Draw near to Yahweh because he is. Hallelujah.